I'm George Kuck. There are 4 major reasons, and logical reasons, that I am a Republican. The first concerns the education of our youth. The second concerns the protection of the female and male before birth. The third concerns national defense. And the final one concerns fiscal responsibility. If you want to know what the individuals believe and do, look to the party platforms and their voting records. Do not rely on the statements of any individual during an election campaign. First, as a teacher, it gives me great joy to see youth grow and mature. Thus, I am for giving the inner city children the same choice as those used by rich Democratic senators such as Teddy Kennedy and presidents such as Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. Democrats talk a good game in support of the inner city children. However, they send their children to expensive private schools instead of to public schools. Have you seen the documentary Waiting for Superman? If you have not, you ought to. It explains the plight of the inner city parent trying to get a good education for their children in the inner city. Democrats under Nancy Pelosi canceled the voucher system in the Washington, D.C. schools. The Republicans reinstated the voucher system when they took over Congress in 2010. The failing school systems are the result of an alliance between the Democratic Party and the teachers' unions. In order to get a better education for the students in the inner city schools, vouchers are needed. The Democrats are against vouchers. Republicans are for vouchers and any other method of helping the inner city students. Republicans are for school choice. Democrats are against school choice. I'm for helping individuals, not patronizing minorities and making minority students victims and wards of the state. Thus, I am a Republican. Don't tell anyone, I'm a closet feminist. The 2009 CDC vital statistics show that in the US total population, there are 1,048 boy babies for every 1,000 girl babies born, for a ratio of about 1.05 if people do not intervene. The CDC data also shows the Asian Pacific Island group has a ratio of 1.066. That means there are almost 2 less girl children born for every 100 births in this group. Other information sources show that in Asian families, if the first girl is a child, there are 120 boys born for every 100 girls. If the first 2 children are girls, then there are 150 boys born for every 100 girls. Half the baby girls are being aborted if the first 2 children are girls. I love kids. Republicans introduced a bill in 2012 to outlaw sex selection abortions. Democrats voted against it. Every aborted child would choose life. Republicans are pro-life, Democrats are pro-abortion. Thus, I am a Republican. My third reason concerns national defense. We get into major world conflicts about every 50 years. This is the first time since World War II we have not had a modern fighter aircraft in production. President Obama canceled our production of our modern fighter aircraft, the F-22, at less than 190 F-22s. The production of the next new fighter, the F-35, is still several years off. You fight the wars with what is available at the start of the war. We lost 243 first-line aircraft in December 1941, the first month of World War II. When we get into a major conflict this time, it may be World War II all over again. Our young men and women may not be able to rely upon air superiority. This is only one example of how the Democrats use the military budget to fund social programs on the back of our armed forces and increase our casualties during conflicts. Republicans understand the importance of national defense. We understand we must build our defenses on enemy capabilities, not enemy intentions. The Democrats do not understand this basic fact. Defense is at least or more important than social programs, because you can't have the social programs if you cannot protect yourself. Democrats are soft on defense. Republicans understand the importance of funding defense adequately. The most expensive war is the one you have to fight without adequate weapons. Thus, I am a Republican. My final logical reason for voting Republican is that Republicans are more fiscally responsible. I must admit that we do not always live up to our ideals. Nevertheless, Republicans believe we should balance the budget. The current administration has caused a fiscal disaster. This is where the major media censor the news by deleting critical information to make it seem as if the Republicans are as physically irresponsible as the Democrats. The first example is that the Democrat-controlled Senate under Harry Reid have not passed a budget in 3 years. The Republicans in the House have passed 2 annual budgets, which the Senate Democrats have refused to consider. Next, when I went to college in 1958, my parents sent me $20 each month for expenses. Well, I'd take that $20 check and I'd go down to the bank and I would get 20 silver dollars. Now, in 2012, the same silver dollar costs between $40 and $50. When President Obama took office, the same silver dollar cost $10. It took over 50 years for the paper dollar to be worth 10 cents. The 10-cent dollar has become worth 2 to 3 cents in only 3 years. Next, the major media has made a big point of the last year of the Bush's administration adding over $1 trillion to the debt. This is only because the government accounting system attributed the $880 billion TARP funds to President Bush as expenses. Most of the money has been repaid and added to the Obama years as revenue. It also amazes me that the Democrats, during No Child Left Behind in the Medicare drug benefit debates, castigated President Bush for not spending enough money. Then they turn around and attack President Bush for not being fiscally responsible. Amazing. For every dollar of the President Bush deficit, which I dislike, that happened over 8 years, there are $2 of deficit in the Obama administration, which were spent over 4 years. I and most of my fellow Republicans do not want this debt to be put on the shoulders of our children and our grandchildren. The Democrats do not seem to be bothered by this debt. Well, these are my 4 logical reasons for being a Republican. I am also a Republican as a matter of belief. I believe in the American values of liberty, e pluribus unum, and in God we trust that are on each of our coins. These values are in conflict with those of the Democrats who believe in the equality of outcome, multiculturalism, and a secular society. I believe that the larger the government, the smaller the individual. I believe that individuals, the people, are more important than the government. These are matters of belief, not logic. Well, these are my personal reasons for voting Republican. You can determine your own. Don't let yourself be demonized. Fight back with civility and logic. Tell your story. Remember the Republican soldiers and the Northern soldiers in their blue uniforms, such as my grandfather, were Republicans. Our early party members died to free the slaves. Our Republican fathers provided the votes to pass the Civil Rights Act by President Johnson. Our forefathers really had it tougher than us. But be a proud Republican, go out and vote. Thank you.